What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Murph. Today, I kind of want to talk to you about a few of the updates that have come through on the game, as well as I'm just kind of slowly, as slowly as BlueStacks makes me kind of roll through our dailies here today on this account. I kind of show you guys what I'm currently doing on my free-to-play account. As you can see, again, the plan with this account is that I am building the Rangers free-to-play right now in order to swap over to the Elves as my long-term plan. As far as the Elves go, my plan is to hopefully, depending on when Arwen and Ellen become free-to-play farmable, is going to be able to swap over to the Elves. I've already got Elrohir, Lomian, Naramiri are all good to go at 5 stars, and I'm still continuing to push out farming Lomian right now. Still farming out Leliel as well, getting her to 5 stars, and then eventually, hopefully, one of the other two becomes free-to-play farmable in the near future. I feel a sneeze coming on. We're good. We're good. All right. So outside of these guys, what I'm also doing, inside of these guys, I'm still also farming Elroy here right now, since I've got him and Naramiri up to 5 stars. I'm still pushing Elroy here up to 7, and the reason for that is going to be because, one, it gets the 7-star Elroy here grind out of the way for Elrond, for a 7-star Elrond whenever I end up making that push, and two, the base stat upgrades we're going to be getting in the near future per one of the data mines is going to be huge. Basically, all the characters are going to have a flat boost to the amount of stats they're getting from their later star levels. So a lot of these these marquee characters coming out at 3 stars for free-to-play players, and a lot of these other unfarmable characters like let's see, like the Great Goblin, like Aeldred, or even Gruher is also non-farmable, but even some of the other characters like Bolg and Halbarad, where yes, they are free-to-play farmable, but their shard income rate is so low, they're going to be a low star level, period. They're going to see I wouldn't say diminished use, but diminished staying power, I guess, in the arena meta. And I guess we'll see once the raids come out kind of how they perform compared to everybody else. But you know, it's one of the things like one of the things that other content creators like Boylon has mentioned that I think is a very, very great point is Legolas. His kit looks amazing. Like, if you're going to be able to buy him to 5 stars and you want to spend money on the game, that's awesome. But for a free-to-play player, even with Legolas's great kit and his raw damage output, is it going to even compare to someone like Elrohir, who is very easily available and quickly to farm through the guild campaigns? Because again, like in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and your Cantina battles, your guild campaign in this game is going to be your fastest and most consistent way to 7 stars, and it also just so happens to give you ability materials as well. So if you focus on those characters, your account's going to pay off in yields, whether you're farming Ironhide or Elrohir or Ugluk or I don't know who else you'd be farming, maybe Pippin, but I wouldn't farm anybody else right now. Beside the point, one of the main things I wanted to talk about today was actually going to be this. So we had Legolas and Gimli added to the game. Their marquee events are going to be coming out very quickly. Legolas is going to be on the 10th of July, and Gimli is going to be, I believe it was the 17th of July. They're 1 week apart. And we also had Gandalf the Grey confirmed as a character being added to the game. Now, CG has not announced anything about how we're going to, well, let me take that back. They haven't confirmed the method of how Gandalf the Grey is going to be released. But judging by the fact that they haven't mentioned that he has an adventure or a marquee release yet, as well as I believe Tano went through and did some like deep dive in the internet, scouring the internet for internet articles and interviews. It sounds like he's hinted as kind of what I've been assuming is the raid character, or the raid reward character rather, for the first raid in Moria, which makes sense thematically in the Fellowship of the Ring. Gandalf the Grey was the leader of the Fellowship, and he fell fighting against a Balrog inside of the mines of Moria, and that's kind of his, for one, it's kind of the climax of the Fellowship of the Ring, but two, this is where the Fellowship first starts breaking apart, and it's a very significant event in the events of the Lord of the Rings that really goes to motivate a lot of what happens later on in the series. Now, speaking of the Fellowship in the game, you'll notice Legolas and Gimli are the only Fellowship characters in the game. What I think is interesting is, for those of you who are not familiar with the lore, I mean, this is very, very basic Lord of the Rings lore, but this is the Fellowship of the Ring. The Fellowship of the Ring was formed in order to help escort Frodo to Mordor, to help him along the way to destroy the ring. Their mission was one of secrecy, which is why they had such a small number of people. Their idea was to stealthily sneak into Mordor without attracting too much attention to them. That's why they didn't take more powerful people, such as like Glorfindel of Rivendell. That's why they didn't take the eagles, because people are going to see the eagles coming from a mile away. I know the memes, fly you fools, he meant the eagles. Shut up. Anyways, 9 characters. And the reason there were 9 characters was to combat the 9 ring wraiths, or the 9 Nazgul, which, interesting fact, if we're getting the Fellowship of the Ring now, maybe that means these data mined Haradrim characters for the Witch King event, considering the Witch King is the leader of the Nazgul. Maybe we get that next month after we finish our Fellowship month here, but I digress. 9 characters in the Fellowship. We've got our 4 hobbits. We've got Frodo, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. All right, we got the 4. We've got 2 men. We've got Aragorn, Strider, and Boromir. And then we've got Legolas from the Mirkwood Elves, Gimli from, I believe they were in Erebor at that point before the events, but nonetheless. Then we have Gandalf the Grey, a Maiar, an Istari, a wizard, whatever you want to call him. What I find interesting here, right, is there's 9 characters in the Fellowship. 7 of these characters are currently in the game. We have Legolas and Gimli, who were just released, and they currently have, as you can see in the game, they've got the Fellowship tag. Now, the other 5 of these characters are all listed under Road to Rivendell. Why is that interesting? What's interesting is these characters are all Fellowship members. None of them carry the Fellowship tag. So I've got a kind of two main theories going forward that I kind of want to talk about here. But what we may potentially get with the game and future character releases. For one, I mentioned it in earlier videos, but Strider is one of those characters where he's going to be like a Chewbacca, a Han Solo, I guess at this point, a Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where there's so many different variations or variants or iterations of his character in The Lord of the Rings that I think we're going to get multiple of him, obviously. We could get, Strider, obviously, is the Ranger, the Dunedain Ranger before the Fellowship is formed. Then you kind of have your Fellowship kind of form, Aragorn, and then you have King Elisar when he becomes King of Gondor, and then if you want to create other variants like when he was fighting in Rohan potentially, or even earlier in his life when he went to go actually serve in Gondor and Rohan, awesome. I forget what his name was at that point, but anyways, I think we're gonna probably eventually see other iterations of these characters, potentially with the Fellowship tag, but I doubt. I don't know about that. I'm sure obviously we'll get like a Rohan, Merry, and a Gondor Pippin. That would be cool. But my second point that I really want to talk about is that if we project this out, we have 9 Fellowship characters. These 5 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, are not they're not receiving the Fellowship tag. What I think is gonna happen here is we've got 3 of them here. We've got Gimli and Legolas. We've got Gandalf confirmed to come in. He's going to be our number 3. And we haven't seen his kit yet, but I'm sure he's probably going to end up being the leader of the Fellowship. That leaves 2 spots open. And what I think is going to happen is, I think because we have 2 remaining Fellowship spots that have to be filled, because remember, these teams are 5 character teams in this game. Why would we add any of the hobbits here, right? Like, why would we add 2 of the 4 hobbits to that Fellowship tag? I think we're going to get a Fellowship Aragorn and a Fellowship Boromir added to the game. I think that's how we're going to round this team up, because then you will have Legolas, you will have Gimli, you will have Gandalf the Grey already confirmed. It only makes sense that the other 2 non-hobbits are the other 2 characters to round out the Fellowship of the Ring in the game. Now, and the reason I think it's going to be them and not any of the hobbits is because not only you know, maybe you could do like Frodo and Sam together, or you could do Pippin and Merry together. But there really wasn't a lot of different in the characters, the kits, the outfits, or anything else that would really change, you know, a character in game for the sake of Heroes of Middle Earth. It wouldn't really change like their abilities or their kits or their costume or anything else like that to warrant a new character release with a fellowship tag. And if these characters in the game already were going to get a fellowship tag, they would have gotten it already. They would have been updated for it. So with these points, I think that we're going to end up seeing our fellowship team in game is going to be Legolas, Gimli, Gandalf the Grey from the Mines of Moria raid, and then we likely will get a Aragorn and a Boromir release. Boromir's already in the game. I kind of assumed that Boromir is going to probably have two different roles. One of them is going to be with the Fellowship, and then I'm assuming that character is going to also have a Gondor tag, and maybe he has a leadership ability for Gondor. So if you don't build the Fellowship, you can start building a Gondor team around him. That would be pretty cool. But Boromir, again, is one of those characters where you could have multiple variations of him. You could have a Fellowship Boromir. You could have a pre-Fellowship Boromir where he was the captain of a Gondor, you know, full Gondorian plate, fighting on Osgiliath and all that. I think that would be really cool. But anyways, guys, what do you think? I'm going to roll back through the rest of my dailies, and I'm not going to record it because y'all don't need to see it. What do you guys think the rest of the fellowship's going to be? What are you guys currently working on right now? I know for myself, at least, because we really don't have a direction to build in still outside of Elrond, I am still really just going out and farming my elves and really just trying to focus on building my arena team right now and just waiting for that raid to drop. I'm excited for it. Again, if you guys like the content, subscribe to the channel, like the video, help the algorithm out, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know if you think I'm crazy, if you think that this is what the fellowship characters in the game are going to be. And until next time, I've got some Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes shit to play and make videos on. So, what are you doing? Yeah. All right, bye.